Hey everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing trash to treasure with some cans. Got different sizes. Going to show you how to make a couple things with them. Some for your garden, some for your home. If that's something you want to see, I hope you do. Stick around. I'll show you how to make them. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Okay, for this first one, I'm just going to use an old coffee can, and I'm using Folk Art French Linen chalk paint. And I'm going to paint the inside and the outside. Now, it was raining today, so I couldn't spray paint, but if you can spray paint this first with a primer, you'll save yourself a lot of paint. I end up having to put 3 coats on this. But you do want to use a light colored tanned paint. You can pick whatever color paint you want, but you want to use something that's light colored. And just make sure you get into all your grooves and everything. Next, I'm going to take a water-based stain. You can also use an oil-based stain, and I'm going to take a chip brush, and I'm just going to start brushing this on this. Now, this is going to end up looking like wood, but you want to go ahead and get it as smooth as you can. Don't get too much stain on it, and really blend it in good. And you have plenty of drying time on this to get it blended in good because it does not dry fast. Now, you don't want to use a heat source on this to fast dry it because it will bubble. But just really work that brush and kind of smooth it around, and then when you get done, you'll see that this looks like wood. And I'm going to run through this fast, but I do want you to see the process because you do go back over and brush over the top of this again while it's still wet to get it blended in good. And you can use any color stain that you want, but a dark stain looks really good. And then I'm going to do the inside too. You don't have to go all the way down on the inside, just, maybe about halfway down. Next, I'm going to take 2 5-gallon stir sticks, and I'm just going to put these inside of here. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this metal tin that I got at Dollar Tree, and this is going to be my roof. And I'm just going to bend it right in half. Now, it's not going to go completely in half because it is a little bit off-centered, but just get it where you have a fold in the middle, and that's where you need to fold it, close to the middle. And this stuff folds real easily. I mean, all you have to do is bend it with your hands. And what I'm making is a wishing well planter. Okay, next figure out about how wide you want your top to be, and then just go ahead and take another one of the stir sticks and mark it. We're just going to make kind of like a triangle with a flat top on it to go inside this. This is what's going to hold the roof open. And you're going to cut 2 exactly the same, but you want to flip it over and make one the opposite side. Next, I'm going to measure my stir stick. I'm going to come down to 12.5 inches, and I'm going to cut 2 stir sticks at 12.5 inches and just cut them straight across. Just make sure that they are exactly the same length. Okay, next I'm going to take some wooden Jenga blocks, and I'm going to add some E6000 glue and some hot glue to these, and I'm just going to put these on the inside edge of the top of this. I'm going to put a round ledge on the top of this. You just need something for it to set on. So you could use any kind of wood you want to. I mean, you could use little squares or whatever, just something that will hold an edge. You can't glue on the edge of that container, otherwise it won't hold. So you're going to have something on the inside to hold it up. And I started about every 2 inches, and then I kind of moved into the middle a little bit, got them a little bit closer together. But you want to go ahead and glue all the way around. And you don't have to use E6000 glue if you don't want to. If you're not going to put this outside, hot glue will be just plenty. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and glue in the roof trusses. Now you want to do this at the last. I did mine, and then I had to come back in and break them off and move them in. So do this step last, but I'll show you how I'm putting this together. You want, definitely do this after you get your sticks positioned because they ended up being closer together than what I thought. But just going to use some E6000 glue and hot glue to hold these together. And you're going to put one at each side. And just kind of squeeze that together real good until it dries. And then do the same thing on the opposite side. And when I said earlier, when you cut them to flip it over, because they are going to be opposite, you want these to mirror each other once they're in here. Okay, next on the bottom of my sticks, I'm going to add a little Jenga block, and this is what's going to hold it into the container. Now again, you don't have to use Jenga blocks, just cut a piece of wood to put on the bottom. And then I'm attaching it with E6000 glue and hot glue, but you want to make sure that that is flush with the bottom. Next, I'm going to come down 3.5 inches from the top edge, and I'm going to mark these together. Just put them together and make sure that you get your mark right there. And then I'm going to drill a hole right into the center of that mark on both of them. And I'm going to attach a dowel stick here. So I'm starting with a smaller drill bit, and then I'm going to graduate up to a 1/4 inch drill bit because my dowel stick is going to be a 1/4 inch. And I'm using a 1/4 inch by 6 inch. Just make sure that they are level. And then you may have to sand them a little bit right there where you just drilled your hole. Okay, next I'm taking a 1/4 inch by 6 inch dowel stick, and I'm just going to run them through both of these. And you'll know how far to hang them out on the side once you get them put into your can. If your can is different from my can, you can just about use any kind of can that you want to, but you want to make sure that these stand up straight. Just kind of put them inside your can, and then you'll see exactly how far to push them in once they get them put in there. Next, I'm going to take a piece of craft foam. My can measures 5 inches, so I'm going to cut my circle at 6 inches and the inside of the circle at 4 inches, just so it completely covers up those little Jenga blocks. And I cut 2 of them so that they're a little bit more firm, and I'm just going to go ahead and glue these together. And then we're going to go ahead and glue it to the top part of each one of those little blocks, and then we're going to trim it out here in a minute with another piece of craft foam. Just make sure you get it lined up real good before you start gluing. And I'm not using E6000 glue on this part. I'm just using hot glue, but I'm gonna keep this inside my house. I'm not putting this outside. Next, to trim it out, I'm just taking a 1/4 inch piece of craft foam, and I'm just going to go all the way around. Now, this was a 12 inch piece of craft foam, and it almost didn't make it, but if you stretch it as you're going, it'll go all the way around. This just gives it a nice finished edge along the top part. And I'm just kind of pulling it as I go. So I'm going to stain all my pieces of wood exactly the same color as the stain I used on the can. Now, I would recommend not putting your top on before you stain, because this was a little bit of a challenge once I got this in here. So go ahead and stain the inside of your can before you put your top on it. Next, I'm going to go ahead and put my legs on in here. I'm putting E6000 glue and hot glue on here, and then I'm just going to line it up in the center and just make sure that it does stand up straight. You may have to reposition your dowel stick a little bit, but just make sure it does stand up straight. Okay, next I'm going to add a block of wood because I want my plant to stand up a little bit higher, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue this in on both sides of those legs, and I'm just going to set my plant inside. And I'll give you the link for these plants. You get a lot of them in a box, and they are really cute. But you want to add your plant before you add your top. Okay, next, to attach the roof, I'm just going to put some glue on both the inside part of these trusses, and I'm going to put it right up over the top, and I'm going to put those sticks right glued up against those. Okay, next, to add a little decor, I'm just going to take a little pail. I got those on Amazon. I'll give you the link for them. And I'm just going to run it through the hole that's in the front part of this roof. And then I'm just going to tie it in a knot. This was a really cute little project. Really like the way that this one turned out. I really love how that wood technique for painting looks. Let me know in the comments what you think. I think I'm definitely going to put this inside of my house instead of outside of my house. Okay, for this next one, I'm taking a 5 1/4 by 3 1/4 plaque, and I'm taking 2 of them, and these are going to be the feet, and then I'm taking 2 soup cans for the legs. And I'm just going to attach these with E6000 glue and hot glue, and I'm just going to go around the top edge and the bottom edge because these will hang over the side. And I'm building the Tin Man. And then do the same thing with the other leg. The body, I'm going to use a 7" by 5" coffee can, and then I'm going to use 2 more soup cans for the arms, and I'm just going to punch holes in them to attach them to the body. Now I started off with 1 hole at the top on each one of these, and then I'm going to add a second one so that the arms don't turn. And if you want your arms to move, you can just use 1 hole. Next, I'm just going to line it up with the body, and I'm going to punch a hole for that hole that I did in my can so I can have a screw to go through this. And then I decide to add a second hole. I'm just going to mark it down here, just kind of evenly at the bottom part on both of them, match them up, and then go ahead and poke your holes into the can, the big can, to match up those 2 holes. And we're just going to attach these with screws. Now, if you don't have one of these Crop-and-Dowel cutters, you can just take a nail and a hammer and nail it on there, or a screw. Just match it up so that you have exactly the same distance between the 2 so that your screw holes match up. And then go ahead and punch that hole and then do the same thing on the opposite side, matching those up too. And you could use any size can that you want to, just kind of make them proportionate. Okay, then to waller out the hole a little bit bigger to get the screw in, I'm just taking the drill bit, just kind of opening up the hole a little bit so that I can push my screw through there. And then I'm just going to attach them with a nut on the opposite side. Okay, next to attach my screws, I'm just going to go through the center of my can, and I'm going to do both of them at the same time. And then I'm going to just go ahead and run it through the holes in the bigger can, and I'm going to attach a nut on the opposite side. And I'm just hand tightening these. And then attach the other arm the same way. And if you don't want to screw these on, if you want to just use E6000 glue, you could just do that as well. To attach the legs, I'm just going to use some E6000 glue and some hot glue to join the 2 together. Next, I'm going to take my body and I'm going to come up 3/4 of an inch from the bottom, just below the arm, and I'm going to punch another hole on both sides. And this is where I'm going to actually attach my legs. And then just make sure the other one is even. And then I'm going to take my cans and I'm going to come up about 1/2 inch from the bottom of my cans to punch my hole in my cans. You just want to make sure you do get these even so they will stand up straight. And then you want to drill that hole open just a little bit more too. We're going to screw these together. So we're going to take 2 little blocks of wood, glue them together, and then we're going to glue them inside of our can because we are going to screw the can to the legs. Just get you some E6000 glue and hot glue and let this dry really well before you go to the next step. And then we're just going to attach them on the inside, right at the right where that hole is that we punched. So you're going to glue these right over the top of that hole. And do the same thing with the other one over the top part of the other hole. And then let these dry really well because you don't want them to break off of there when you're screwing that screw on. Okay, next we're just going to take them and we're going to put them right inside of our can. And the easiest way to do this was just to tip it over and turn it that way. And then we're going to line them up and put some wedges in here to hold them in place. Just get them lined up with the hole and go ahead and screw your screw in. And then you're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. And just get them screwed in all the way. Okay, next I'm going to go ahead and take a couple little wood wedges to put in here, and I'm going to do it on both sides, both legs on the back and both legs on the front, and that will keep the legs from tilting up forward and backwards. And I'm just using some E6000 glue and hot glue together to get this put on here. So stand them up straight and then just put that wedge right there, and then you can put one on the opposite side. And then you're going to turn it around to the front and do the same thing. That will keep the legs standing straight up. Otherwise, they will tilt back and forth. For the head, I just got this little bucket at IKEA, and I got a little funnel, and I'm going to attach them together. Now, you don't have to use a little can. Just use you could use a regular vegetable can or something like that, but just try to find a funnel that fits it close in size. Okay, then to attach it, I'm just going to put it right on top of my large can, and I'm just going to do the same thing with the E6000 glue and hot glue. Because I am going to put this outside is why I am using the E6000. If you're not going to put this outside, you can just use hot glue. And then just let that dry. Okay, next I'm going to take a metallic paint, a silver, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint the wood feet. Now you could take this whole thing outside and spray paint the entire thing if you wanted to. We were just having a lot of storms and I couldn't paint during the storm, so I'm doing it this way. But just go ahead and get it completely painted, and if you are going to put this outside, you probably want to put a clear sealer over the wood as well. Okay, next I'm taking just a wooden heart that I have and I'm painting it red. So I got these little wiggly eyes at Hobby Lobby, and then I'm just going to cut out a circle to go behind them that's a little bit bigger than the eye. So my eye measured about 1¼ inches and my circle measured about 1½ inches. Nose, I cut a little 1/2 inch circle, and I'm just going to take a hole punch and punch a hole in the center of it like the Tin Man had in his nose. Okay, next I'm going to go ahead and glue my craft foam onto my eye with some E6000 glue and hot glue. And I'm doing that for both of them. And then I'm going to attach these to the Tin Man the same way, and I'm going to attach the heart as well. So just go ahead and glue your heart right onto him. And then for the mouth, I'm going to freehand cut a mouth. I didn't have a punch or anything like that to do a mouth, so I'll show you how I'm going to do that here in a second. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue my nose on. For the mouth, I just took some craft foam and I'm just making a smile. And then I'm going to put a little edge on it too. So when I get finished cutting it out, you'll see what I did. Since it's a little bit thin, I'm just going to take a toothpick and put some E6000 glue on it that way because I didn't want it all oozing out. And then I'm just going to attach it to his face. Hey, this little guy was so much fun to create. I'm definitely putting him in my backyard. Let me know what you think in the comments. Okay, recycling is really a good thing for our environment. If you can recycle and turn your garbage into some beautiful art like this today, then I really highly recommend it. And if nobody's told you this today, you're awesome. Thank you so much for being here.